Welcome to our revision in managerial economics. We're going to look at this miracle kit. So we're going to look at some key topics and a few highlights on how to attempt them. So we're given demand theory to start with. Under demand theory, we must understand that demand is more than just a need or a want. When you're dealing with demand, we're dealing with willingness and ability to demand for a particular good. So the demand function is always negative slanting. It has a negative slope. Supply always has a positive slope. So where there is this P here, that's a gradient. The slope is positive. So at equilibrium, demand must be equal to supply. So under demand theory, you must also understand the types of goods that are there. We have what we call the normal goods. We have what we call the inferior goods. We have what we call luxury goods. We also have what we call complementary goods. So we have question 1 there, where we're given the demand function, the supply function. So what happens at demand? At equilibrium, we need to understand that demand is equal to supply. So the demand function, like I said, is downsloping. It looks like this. The supply function is upsloping. It looks like that. This is supply and this is demand. They meet at a point which is called the equilibrium. This is equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity. Price is always on the horizontal, on the vertical, and quantity is there. So the area that you're seeing in here, this is called the consumer surplus. The area that is there is called the producer surplus. So these areas you're seeing here, you fit areas of a triangle. So half PH is actually what we call the consumer surplus or the producer surplus, based on the triangle we're looking at. So in this case, if we have figures like 0, 10, 2, 8, 18. So the consumer surplus is this distance from here to here, this triangle. So this is a 10 there and a 10 there. So half times base times height. So half of 100 is 50. So this is what we call the consumer surplus. The figures I put there are just arbitrary figures. And here we have 10 there. The distance from here to here is 6. So half base times height. We're going to have our producer surplus. So this is 50. This is 60 divided by 2, which is 30. The total that we're going to have is called our social welfare, which is 8. The social welfare is also called the total surplus. It's simply the addition of the consumer surplus and the producer surplus. And there are 2 key terms that you need to understand. We have what we call price ceiling and floor prices. What are these 2? So these are 2 government interventions that are actually used to protect the black market. It's important to understand that whenever we're dealing with equilibrium, government may put a price seal. This is maximum price that the consumers must charge, and this is the floor price. This is the minimum. So the maximum is called the price seal. The minimum is called the floor price. Then when we're going to cut here, these 2 triangles, X and Y, are what we call the deadweight loss. The deadweight loss is simply a disequilibrium in the market, which is caused by the inefficiencies. So what did I say was a price seal? There are 2 government interventions that are very common. Pricing process includes floor pricing, where we assume the minimum set by government or any regulatory authority to prevent the price of product from falling below a certain level, usually to protect our producers, because sometimes you people over bargain Then we go to floor pricing. So floor pricing is often used in the agricultural sectors to protect farmers from sudden drops. So we cannot go below a certain level. Then what is price ceiling? Price ceiling, on the other hand, is what? The maximum that the government puts in place. It is there to protect who? The consumers. This price ceiling mechanism is there to also avoid exploitation in the black market. I'm explaining theoretical things because your composition of the exam will be kind of different. There'll be multiple choice, so you need to understand this. You can't just rush into calculations. Is that okay? All right, so price ceiling is simply a maximum imposed by government. It can be charged for a particular good or service. It can be set below the equilibrium determined by the forces. The purpose of price ceiling is typically to protect consumers from overly high pricing. So price ceiling is set below the equilibrium price. It creates a shortage in the market. So now we go back to our question here. We've been given the demand and the supply. We're asked to calculate equilibrium price and quantity, and also look at the factors that affect demand. So like I was saying, at equilibrium, we know that demand is equal to supply. So in this case, with the factors that have been given, the data that has been given, this is how we do the computation. So equilibrium, demand is equal to supply. So we're going to equate these two equations. Our demand is one with a negative slope. Our supply is one with a positive slope. We equate these two. So 220 minus 20p plus 20p minus 200. Put the letters and the numbers on one side. So when this one comes aside, it will add. When this one goes aside, it will subtract, it will add as well. So 20p, and this is 420. We divide by 40 on both sides. So the equilibrium price will be 10.5. All right. Equilibrium price will be 10.5. Are we together so far?
Yes. Yes, we are.
Yes.
All right. So we can further go to calculate the equilibrium quantity. So to find the equilibrium quantity, we just substitute the price back into either the demand or the supply function. You still get the same answer. So where there's price, we put 10.5. So 220 minus 210, we're going to get a 10. So the equilibrium price is at 10. So I taught you how to sketch these two graphs. So our demand function was given by what? Our demand function was given by 220 minus 20p. So you put the letters on one side if you want to sketch. So this one will be what? Q plus 20p is equal to what? 220. Then you divide the intercepts. What number is there here? There's a 1. 1 to 20, 220. What number is there? 20. 20 into what? 220. What do we get? We get 11. So to cut the P at 11 and the Q at 220. Similarly, we put the letters on one side here. So this is what? 200 on this side. 20p is positive minus what? Q. We divide 20p into there, we get a 10. Negative 1 into there, we get negative 200. So we're going to have here at 10, negative 200.
Sorry, I missed where that 1Q came from on the 1Q plus 20p.
Whenever there's no letter, we shouldn't assume that there's an invisible one. So there's no number here. There's a 1 invisible, even if there's a 1. That's for sake of computation. So 1 into 20 is 220. 20 into 20 is 11. Is that clear?
Yes, thank you.
So similarly here, 20 into 200 is 10. Negative 1 into 200 is negative 200. So this is how we're going to sketch that. So this is a consumer surplus and this is a producer surplus. So if you want to draw the triangle, you can draw it in your own way. This is 0.5 to 10. Then this is also 0.5 to what? To 10. Then you can compute your consumer surplus if you are asked the area under the triangle. Okay. Are we all following? So what is our, although
Okay,
I've asked,
sorry, Mr. Collins. So suppose the supply the supply graph was cutting was cutting price at negative 220. How are you going to draw the graph? Because I think we had some misunderstanding with a certain lady. Is it supposed to cut below or
you're giving a scenario
the way
like,
you've sketched it?
so if you have a 2 there, and you have negative 3 there, and we have 10 there, and we have 5. The distance from here to here is what? 8. The distance from here to here is what? 5. The distance from here to here, this is 2 and this is 3. This is also 5. And the distance from here to here is 5. So people should understand that 10 minus 2 is what? 8. And 2 minus negative 3 is 2 plus 3. Even the operation of mass gives you, this is 5. I think people have a problem in identifying this length when it goes in the negative. Is that what you're trying to ask?
Yes.
Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
All right. So the second part of the question was asking for us to do what? Calculate our new equilibrium given the new parameters. So we're told to say, now, suppose we have a new supply, which is 40 minus 80, against the original demand 220 minus 20p. Calculate the new equilibrium. All right, so the same principle applies. We're just going to equate the two equations. So we're going to have the new equilibrium, 40 minus 80p, then the old one is also equate them. 220 minus 20p, then 40 minus 80. So this one will come and add, this one will subtract. So here we're going to have 60p into 300. So then divide that, we get our new p as what? As 5. Okay, so how do we get the q? We substitute in any of the equations. So when we substitute, are we together so far? Are we following?
Yes, we are.
Substituting, we're going to have our new quantity, put a 5 in any of them. So when you put 5 there, we're going to 220 minus 100, which is 120. So our new equilibrium quantity is at 120. The price is at 5. So you can even draw a box for him properly to mark. Price is 5, quantity is 120. But this is how our graph will look like. Okay.
Sorry, Collins. Sorry to stop you. How did you get the 120?
We're getting the 5. We're getting the 5.
The 5. Where are we getting the 5 from? Sorry, not the 120, but the 5.
We have been given a new supply function here. So now, so supply is a new one. Match it against the what? The old demand. So we get them. Demand is what supply. So 220 minus 20p, and now the new 40p minus 8. So you're going to what? With the 20 comes there, the 220 subtract there, this is 60. This is 300. When you divide by 60, you're going to get P is equal to what? 5. That's how we got the 5. Then you can put the 5 into any of these ones here. Q is equal to 220 minus 20P. So that is P with the 5. So that is about 220 minus 100. Which is what? 120. If you want, you can put it in here. Q is equal to what? 40P. That is P put 5 minus 8. Okay, so this would be the same 200 minus 80, which will give you what? 120. Same figure you're getting. Is that clear?
Mr. Collins,
Mm-hmm.
you have a document whereby we'll be able to follow through all the steps to this answer. I'm just asking for revision's sake. Let's say when we finish the class, because I think here some of us will still want to go through the answers apart from the video, but maybe a document that you have.
There's a miracle kit that has been produced. There are people who ordered for the solutions. They are with Mr. Stanley. Those who are in the physical class, only 10 copies were made, so you can get them at UNILAS right now. So they were made by him. But for me, I'm just doing what I'm teaching right now. So I'll send it through. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So what is the next question asking us? The next question is now asking us to discuss any 6 factors that affect demand. Yes. What are the 6 factors that affect demand? We have several factors. So summarize them as follows. So the 6 factors that affect demand. Number 1, the price of the product. This is the most significant factor that affects demand. As it increases, ceteris paribus, assuming all things constant, the quantity will increase. So they have an inverse relationship. Whilst one factor is going up, the other factor is going down. The other factor that affects demand is the income level, which plays a very vital role in shaping demand. For normal goods, if the income will increase as the income increases, the demand for the particular goods will increase. But for inferior goods, there's an inverse relationship. The demand will decrease as income increases. So income elasticity for demand is positive for normal goods and negative for inferior goods. The other factor that affects demand is the price of related goods. So these related goods, as follows, we have what we call substitute goods, which have a positive relationship, and the negative relationship are complement goods. So substitute goods are goods that can be used in place of the other, e.g. tea and coffee, while complementary goods are goods that can be consumed together, like smartphone and mobile data. So the price of the substitute increases, and the demand of the original good may also increase. This is a positive relationship. Conversely, the price of the complement decreases as the demand for that original good decreases. So here it increase, there's a decrease there. So if you're looking at the complementary good, if the price of tea goes up, the demand for coffee also go up, because the price of tea will go up, causing the demand to go down, whereas the demand for coffee will go up. We're using complementary goods here. We have a negative relationship. If smartphones go up, demand for mobile data will go down. The other factors that affect demand are preference and tastes. Preference and tastes. These ones have a significant influence on the demand, what you wear, the trend, the cultural shifts, the advertising, the marketing strategies. All these will affect your preferences, which will lead to a change in the demand. Change in the demand. Other factors that may affect your demand for goods include the following. We have demographics, population demographics, for instance, the size, the age distribution, the geographical location, these can all impact demand. The changes in population, the demographics such as the aging population, the urbanization patterns, all these can affect demand. Consumer expectations are also factors that affect demand. You expect the future prices to go up, so meaning you buy more of a particular good like fuel. You anticipate them to decrease, you wait until they decrease. So these will affect the demand. Other factors that may affect demand are closely related to elasticity of demand, which include availability of credit, policies, regulations, seasonal variations, technological advancements, social and cultural factors. It is also take note of these factors that they vary depending on the type of good. All right, so these are the factors. Collectively, we summarize them as follows. We come up with what is called the demand schedule. I think I love online classes more than physical classes. Online classes are very tiresome. We will cover a lot in online sessions. Okay. So we have these factors like price of that good, complementary good, substitute good, income, advertising, tastes. What other factors do we talk about? Population, expectations. These are factors that affect demand. All right. So we can ask questions if there are any at this point.
For me, I still have problems in drawing the graph there in the example that you gave us, especially. I don't know if I missed the earlier presentation. I don't understand the denominator, like the
Right,
previous
so
example that you just.
let me explain to you here. It is a small issue. When you see a graph like this, please don't leave the exam without plotting a graph. Even if it's not making sense, just throw something. In economics, even if it's rubbish, you don't leave an exam without a graph. So with area, you put the letters on one side. So this is what we do. Are we clear on step one? When this guy goes aside,
Yeah, yeah.
then you identify the coefficients. What number is before P? An invisible one. What number is before Q? A 2 visible. Then just draw this. 1 into 100 is 100. 2 into 100 is 50. I'm teaching the grade 1, not the grade 7. I learned this in my grade 8. It's the easiest way I plot. So I love this way. So the P you cut where? At 100. You put 100 there and put your point. The Q cut at 50, right? Put your point there, 50. So this is how the graph will look like. So this is P is equal to 100 minus what? 2Q. Similarly, this guy, put the letters on one side. Then here, what number is there? A 1. 1 to 10 is 10. Negative 3 to 10, negative 3.33. So you can choose to draw on one graph here or on separate graphs. It's principally the same. So the P will cut at 10 and the Q cut at negative 3.33. So this is 10 plus 3Q. Right together. So this is our supply function.
Mr. Collins,
Uh-huh.
on the, I've noted that the sign has changed when you wrote it on the graph and the one that we were given. Yeah, just a bit of explanation on that. I've noted also, I think the second example is the same, like 100 minus 2Q. And why did we put a different formula on this one instead of taking the exact formula on the one given?
It's the same principle I'm using. I have left the constant here alone. When this guy jumps the equal sign, it changes from negative to positive. This is what we learned in our, is it grade 1 or grade 2? It becomes a positive. Then you divide with the signs themselves. 1 into 100 is 100, it will cut at 100. Positive 2 into 100, it will be positive 50. So the demand function is always downsloping. Similarly, I'm going to leave the 10 alone here, it's still positive. But this 3, when it jumps the equal sign, it will be negative. So the intercepts here, 1 into 10, it is 10. Negative 3 into 10, negative 3.33. So here, in the Q's, we have negative 3.33. On the P's, there is positive 10. And we know that supply is upsloping. I don't know whether I got your question rightly, but this is how you're supposed to do it.
Yes, apologies. I think I asked the question without seeing at the end. I was looking at the middle part, so I understand it. Thank you.
All right. So now we go to another question where we're given this Lalabed company with a demand function, and we're given the cost function. So this is under optimization. So we need to know that if we're given a demand function, like this one here, we can maximize the revenue, we can minimize the costs. So I gave you steps in optimization. So if you're optimizing, you're maximizing the revenue and profit and minimizing the costs. Step 1 in optimization is to find the function. Find the function you're asked to optimize. Question 2, differentiate. Step 3, equate to 0. Step 4, solve for Q and P. Right. So if you have a price function, like has been given in this equation, price is equal to what? 1760 minus 12Q. So 1760 minus 12Q. So step 1, if you want to maximize revenue, you need to find a total revenue. What is total revenue? Price times quantity. So here we're going to have 1760 minus 12Q. We multiply the Q there. So TR function of what? 1760 Q minus 12Q squared. Then step 2, we differentiate. The DTR, everyone should know differentiation by now. You're writing an exam tomorrow. You can't enter an exam without knowing differentiation. I'm glad my students know that. 1760 minus 24Q. Then step 3, you equate to 0. 1760 minus 24Q. And this one will come this side. 24Q is equal to 1760. So you divide both sides by 24Q. Who wrote 12 there? I see could stop writing on my board. So divide 24 on both sides. What do we get? 1760 divided by 24.
$73.3.
Okay. 73.3. Okay. Right, agreeable.
Yes, yes.
73.3. So that is our quantity, our output. 73.3. All right. Then how do we find the price? we place it in the original price function. So price therefore will be 1760 minus 273.3. You get the price function. What are you getting?
$880.4.
Okay. So that's how we are going to calculate that. Any questions so far? Okay. Any questions?
Mr.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can get you, Mr. Collins.
Yes, please.
So the 7333 is a quantity.
So 7333 is a quantity. Then the price when you substitute, what did you get?
It's supposed to be 12 times
880.
880.
Yes.
All right. So I'll just
So
teach you.
that those are for
So
A and B.
no. We haven't even answered the question. I'm just teaching you steps of optimization. Now let's go to the question. We've been given
Oh, all right.
the demand function,
Okay.
cost function. We've been asked to find the output that maximizes profit and the price that will be charged and the actual total profit. So I hate such questions, but I'll try to explain. I don't know that the principle or you want the actual question. So remember, we are asked to do what? To optimize. So calculate, we first need to calculate the profit function. So given the data that we've been given, you must understand that to maximize profit, we need to find the level of output where marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue. So in this case, our cost function is 1/3 to the power 3, then 15q squared plus 5q minus 2400. We need to find the marginal cost first by differentiating this. So here we're going to get the derivative of this cost function as marginal cost will be 3q squared minus 30q plus 5. So to also find the marginal revenue for this, we need to find our derivative. So the shortcut for finding marginal revenue, if you're given a price function, is as follows. So I've always told you to say if price is equal to 10 minus 4q, marginal revenue is simply 10 minus 8q. We just multiply a 2 here. Those of you who are lazy at calculus. If the price is 10 minus 3Q. To make it marginal revenue, just multiply what? A 2 there, which is 10 minus 6Q. Why? Because price times quantity will be what? 10 minus 4Q. You put a Q there. The total revenue is what? 10Q minus 4Q squared. And you differentiate again. So 10Q becomes 10. And 4Q becomes 8Q. That's why mathematicians have sought to say, just multiply it to there. Don't boggle your mind. So in this case, we're given our price function. So meaning the marginal revenue, just multiply here. So this will simply be marginal revenue will simply be 1760 minus 24Q. So you get these two. 1760 minus 24Q, then you get the marginal cost. So whenever you see a squared somewhere there, we're definitely going to find ourselves in having a quadratic equation. We're going to see ourselves in having a quadratic equation where you're going to solve for P. So on the quadratic equation, I think I'll dominate so much in the physical classes. For now, I'll not go in depth with this question. All right. Let's go to the market structures where we're given.
Mr. Collins, before you move so far from, there's a question I saw which was saying factors that determine the price elasticity of demand. So I'm wondering what the difference is with the one, with this one. Describe any factors that affect demand. Then that one was saying factors that affect the price elasticity of demand. Is there a difference or they are just the same?
Is there a difference or they're just the same? That's a question going to everyone.
Depends.
They are different.
They're different. What are the factors that affect elasticity? Yes. So factors that affect elasticity will include availability of substitutes, necessities or luxury goods, the time horizon, the income levels, the brand loyalty. So the availability of substitutes will affect the elasticity of demand. If there's no substitute, it means demand will be very elastic. If it's a necessity or a luxurious good. So some goods and services are considered to be necessities if they have a lower what? Elasticity of demand. So necessities tend to have a lower price elasticity, whereas consumers are less likely to reduce their consumption even if their prices rise, like mini meal. On the other hand, luxurious goods or non-essential items have a higher price elasticity. Consumers can only cut back their original demand. If aircons are expensive, they'll use a fan or open windows. Time horizon also affects the elasticity of demand in the sense that in the short run, consumers may have limited options, but in the long run, they have a wider option. So elasticity is higher in the short run than in the long run. The long run because you have no option. Income levels also affect the elasticity of demand because goods represent a larger portion of the consumer's income. So if you have more income, you have higher price elasticity. So brand loyalty is another factor that affects elasticity of demand. We also have market competition. Market competition is also another factor that affects price elasticity of demand in a highly competitive market, like the price, the perfectly elastic market. We discover that there's high elasticity. All right. Then the other part, I would answer it as follows. We're being asked to explain the role of elasticity in firms for decision making. This question is very critical. Most of you only understand what elasticity is, but what role does it play in organizations? So elasticity plays an important role in price strategy. So firms with inelastic demand will often set high prices without any second thought because they know people are insensitive they'll make their monies. More monies are there in inelastic goods where you can make your monies. They're the only ones selling razor blades in that area. They'll not go anywhere either way. Revenue maximization. So firms can use elasticity to maximize their revenue by identifying the price that maximizes revenue. Elasticity is also important in production planning because it helps firm be informed about the production levels and if demand is inelastic or elastic, and they may know that this period of time tomato is very scarce. So they know that elasticity, people will buy more. And everyone is selling, you will know that you will not produce more. Entry expansion. So elasticity plays an important role in assessing the potential for market entry or expansion. So you need to understand elasticity before you enter a certain market. Are we following? Are we together? So
Yes.
considering price elasticity, firms will be more informed and decisions will be balanced and competitive, and consumers will be responsive efficiently. All right. So I'm being called. I have another class. It's 14 hours. Unless any questions.
Mr. Collins, my question is on the just calculating, I think recently. I think I wasn't clear where you ended. You said that you will not concentrate that much on we will be able to understand it on our own when we read, because some of us, those are still kind of new things to us. Is there a reason why you said we cannot tackle the other part?
No, for the polynomials, the power 3, you need to use a quadratic equation. So yesterday I was trying to teach it. So I'll do it online. Mr. Stanley will do the physical classes. I think I'll do it online. If you have been in my class, I have no problem. I think I can teach you. I just have a problem with the new guys because you need to start teaching how quadratic equations work, etc. So you'll be able to understand, trust me.
When will you be able to have time?
We have another class at 16 hours, the physical class. I think I'm better positioned online because the coverage that I want to cover for the online guys, but you cover everything. Those that are coming at 16 is still you drop. Those that will be meeting online, I need to go through this pamphlet as well. So
just to be clear, 16 hours is a physical or online class?
it's both. I'll also be online as well.
Oh, okay.
Class from